Hello everybody, here's coming up tonight on Now. Sexual assault, a problem on college campuses across the country. We'll show you how UNH is using technology to help combat that.
Plus, day 2 of our coverage of chaos on the Cog, 50 years ago, a terrible accident. We're looking at present-day safety features for railways.
Also, you ever post anything on social media that you wish you could take it back?
Yes, I think
we already know the answer to that. We'll show you how you can maybe get rid of it, even if it was a long time ago.
This is News Center now.
We follow these procedures, there's no way this should ever happen again.
He took over a business with a tarnished reputation because of a deadly crash caused entirely by human error. Good evening, everyone. I'm Amanda Hill.
And I'm Lee Goldberg. We'll have part 2 of that special Mount Washington anniversary crash later on. But first, the seas are about to get a little bit stormy.
Keith Garson joins us with a look at the forecast. Hey, Keith.
The seas be angry. I watched the Pirates of the Caribbean 5 on the plane the other day. Terrible. Just a terrible movie. But seas be angry.
How do you really feel?
Yeah. No. Look it up on Rotten Tomatoes. Anyways, here is a look at Jose right here. You can see it's a very elongated, bad-looking storm cell. But we're seeing the outer bands of Jose at the moment, just some light rain showers, and that's what we'll see through the rest of tonight. We got to interrupt this though. We got to go to a special report. We'll be back in a few minutes.
This is an NBC News special report. Here's Lester Holt.
Good day. We're coming on the air to update you on a major earthquake that has rocked central Mexico, a 7.1 magnitude quake that has caused some buildings to collapse in and around Mexico City. The quake itself centered about 75 miles southeast of Mexico City. There are active searches going on right now for those who have been trapped. There is a rising death toll. We'll just leave it to say right now in the dozens of reported dead, but that toll expected to climb. We want to go to Miguel Almaguer right now in our Los Angeles newsroom, who's monitoring the latest. Miguel?
Yeah, Lester, a state of emergency certainly underway in Mexico as the president there tweets that this disaster is still unfolding. As you mentioned, we saw several buildings that have collapsed. We've seen plumes of smoke in the air and a death toll that will no doubt rise. We know thousands of people have poured out and flooded the streets here as fear spreads across this region. As you know, there was an 8.1 earthquake in Mexico earlier this month. And of course, today's quake comes on the 32-year anniversary of a massive earthquake in Mexico City that killed some 10,000 people. As a matter of fact, many folks were drilling or having drills in preparations for a major earthquake just hours before this 7.1 quake was triggered. Lester, we also know that they're evacuating hospitals and schools. Even the airport is shut down here as many people scrambled to safety at this hour, Lester.
And we saw the images of people fleeing their offices and now crowded in the streets. There's reports of the smell of gas. What about, you may have noted, the airports? They're closed at this point?
Yeah, the major airports into Mexico City have been suspended. All flights have been suspended. Some flights still show as leaving on time, but we know that airport officials say no flights will be coming in as they need to inspect the runways there. We should also mention, Lester, that Mexico City is built on lake bed soil, which we're told by geologists can actually magnify an earthquake. So we may have had a 7.1 quake, but it certainly probably felt a lot stronger to many people there. Seismologist Lucy Jones also tells us that Mexico City should brace for several major aftershocks that will likely come in the wake of this major quake, Lester.
Only to complicate any search and rescue operation there. We can tell you that President Trump is monitoring the situation in Mexico City. He put out a tweet just a short time ago saying, "God bless the people of Mexico City. We are with you and we'll be there for you." And we are all watching now to see this play out. Again, the death reports are coming and the casualties from different parts of central Mexico. And right now they are as high as 49, but we'll continue to watch that number. And you're looking at scenes here outside buildings that have collapsed. No telling how many people were inside those buildings. A massive rescue operation underway. Even, as Miguel points out, they fear further aftershocks. We'll have a lot more on this when we see you tonight on NBC Nightly News. Also an update on Hurricane Maria bearing down as a Category 5 storm right now toward Puerto Rico. We'll get a live report from there when we see you a bit later on. For now, I'm Lester Holt in New York. Good day.
All right, obviously big story there. Lester, as you mentioned, we'll have more on that later. Let's go back to what we were talking about, which is Jose. We have a high surf advisory in effect. And again, the whole impact of this storm is a nuisance for most of us. And along the coastline, some pretty big waves and coastal erosion. By the way, down there, still a tropical storm warning for the northern part of Massachusetts down to Cape Cod, which I find very hard to believe that will actually verify that they'll see tropical storm force winds there. But we'll see if the National Weather Service keeps that going through tonight. Here come the rain bands again. They've been moderate and light in nature, and that's how it will continue through the overnight hours. Tomorrow's another cloudy day with rain bands pulling on shore. I do think tomorrow we'll notice a little bit more in the way of wind activity, particularly in the afternoon with some wind gusts, maybe 30, 35 miles an hour right along the immediate coastline. But that's going to be about the gist of it. By the way, guys, there is a big storm that Lester just mentioned. That's Maria. We'll talk more about that in just a few minutes.
All right, Keith, thank you very much. Now some news happening now. Equifax reveals they had yet another cybersecurity incident. And yet again, we're hearing about it months later. Equifax calls it an incident and says it wasn't a breach. It happened apparently in March and has no connection to the massive attack back in May that exposed millions of Americans, according to the credit reporting company.
Jeez. Maintown is one of the best places to live in America, according to a new report from Money Magazine. South Portland squeaked into the 100th spot, just making the cut. The list seemed to favor smaller communities, factoring in things like commute time and median home price. We asked you what you thought about the list, if the right Maine town was selected, or if you expected to see more Maine towns chosen.
All right, Nancy says she grew up in South Portland and loved it. Lots to do, but still with that hometown feeling. Richard says he doesn't see the appeal. There isn't enough land and too many nanny state regulations.
Jones says South Portland is a fantastic place to live with natural beauty and friendly neighbors. And Cameron says there are better towns in Maine that should have made the list. By the way, you can see the full list on our website.
All right, now to obviously more serious story here. There's a new app, and it's designed for college students to help prevent sexual assault.
It's now available nationwide, and it was designed and tested at the University of New Hampshire. Chris Costa shows us what students think of the program.
On a college campus, everyone is on a cell phone.
Everyone always has their smartphones on them.
A new app called USafe US puts sexual assault prevention at a student's fingertips.
She was on our floor freshman year.
Senior Cassandra Mannheimer says one of her classmates got assaulted on campus, something she never thought would happen.
It was kind of scary. It was like, oh, this is real.
Researchers at the University of New Hampshire asked students to help design the app. It collects all the resources a victim might need after an assault into one place.
There are so many great resources in the state, but it's really hard to get them into the hands of a distressed 19-year-old and her friends.
One of the features is called Expect Me. It alerts a friend that you should be arriving soon. Say it takes 10 minutes to walk from the library to the dining hall. Once you set a timer, it texts your friend to let them know that you're on the way. If you don't stop the timer, it sends another text to your friend instructing them to call you right away.
In the moment, like maybe you won't be near your phone if something happens, so having something in the background to back you up is definitely clutch.
After testing it at 21 colleges and universities in New Hampshire for the past year, they're rolling it out at schools nationwide.
And we hope it's a game changer and schools see it as a platform for their prevention activities.
There's even a feature called Time to Leave, which can schedule a text or even pre-recorded phone call.
Hey, I'm locked out of the apartment.
To help students get out of any uncomfortable situation.
I would think that if I'm in that situation, I'd just want to pick up the phone and call 911.
I don't really see myself going through my phone to find the specific app.
But your friend might not be available. They might be on their own bad date or in a test. So this is a way that you can really control the situation.
In Durham, New Hampshire, Chris Costa, News Center.
Right, the app is customizable for each school. Researchers met with focus groups of more than 200 students in New Hampshire and campus administrators to design it.
All right, have you ever regretted something that you've put on social media?
I kind of wear my emotions on my sleeve and just say things without thinking about the consequence.
We'll show you a way to get rid of those ill-advised posts so future employers don't see them. All right, big holiday today. Can't wait to see what you got for me. Did you guys know that today's National Talk Like a Pirate Day?
What do you get for a present for that, I guess?
I don't know.
All right, photojournalist Steve Sherburne and Ryan Breton went down to the Real Pirates exhibit at the Portland Science Center to hear some pirate voices.
Did you know today is National Talk Like a Pirate Day?
No, I didn't.
Want to give us your best rendition?
Arr, arr.
One more?
Something like that. Arr.
Arr. Missing the mainmast. Arr. Hoist the Jolly Roger. Arr.
Arr, matey. Me eyes on ya.
Rum, Jim, bring me rum. Arr. Arr, matey.
Did you know today is National Talk Like a Pirate Day?
No, I didn't, actually.
You want to give us your best rendition?
Arr!
One more?
Arr!
You're even dressed for the occasion.
I am. Totally. I'm ready.
Happy National Talk Like a Pirate Day, everybody. Arr!
All right, well done, Ryan. That pirate exhibit is set to be closing soon, so if you do want to see it, head to the Portland Science Center.
I want that outfit with the skulls there.
Well, you don't have that?
Well, I mean, I want another one is what I meant to say. And if you really want to get into the spirit today, you can actually change your Facebook language settings to English Pirate.
On it.
Of course you can.
All right, coming up after the break.
There's absolutely no reason for that accident to have taken place.
50 years after a deadly train crash on Mount Washington, what has changed? We'll take you up and down the Cog Railway when we come back.
And Jose might not be hitting the main coastline, but we do need to watch out for rip currents and some big waves. KC in next with the full forecast. 8 people died, more than 70 were injured in a crash on Mount Washington 50 years ago this week.
Christina Rex has this series, Chaos on the Cog, that kind of remembers this crash. Christina.
Yeah, Lee and Amanda, yesterday we heard the story of a man who was only 6 years old when he survived that crash. And he says it still haunts him today and that it's difficult to even get on trains or subways. It's been 50 years now, though. So what's changed on the Cog safety-wise to make sure something like this never happens again? I rode it with the current owners to find out.
We will make sure that you do have a safe and fun ride up the mountain.
This is the Cog Railway in 2017. Diesel engines and a pretty smooth ride, bringing thousands of tourists to the summit of Mount Washington.
Hey, we made it!
It's come a long way since 50 years ago, when a major crash on the mountain claimed the lives of 8 people and injured more than 70. An accident that current owner Wayne Presby says never should have happened.
There's absolutely no reason for that accident to have taken place. None whatsoever.
And why it never should have happened? A young, inexperienced staff and a series of poor decisions.
The New Hampshire Public Utilities Commission found that the deadly crash was a result of human error and not due to any structural or mechanical deficiency. But why exactly did the train crash?
Here's what happened that September day. A piece was misplaced in the switch. That caused the engine to derail and that car full of people to follow it.
Back in 1967, railroad switches had to be changed manually with a series of 9 hand movements. The train crew at the time didn't stop to check the switch and instead barreled through it even though it wasn't set properly, causing that major crash. Nowadays, switches are automatic, but just for safety,
We always stop before we go through the switches to make sure they are properly lined up and locked into position.
that safety step was a requirement by the PUC after the accident 50 years ago. But Presby, who has owned the railway since 1983, has taken the required safety steps even further.
But let's keep the operation the same, but let's embrace technology every place we can, especially if it enhances safety.
Every piece of the rack has been replaced. A new trail runs next to the tracks, so crews can make it up the mountain quickly for rescues or repairs. And the trains now have a speed stopper, which automatically slows them down if they go any faster than 4.76 miles per hour. Even though safety and passenger numbers are up record amounts, there are some people Presby still can't convince to ride.
You know, older folks that I know that tell me that they will never ride the train because of what happened on that day.
There is nothing to mark the spot where 8 people died on September 17, 1967. Presby says he does think about the accident every day, but he wants to focus on the future.
This was an accident and it happened one time and it was all human error, and as long as we follow these procedures, there's no way this should ever happen again.
And on top of the safety measures already updated on the COG in the last 50 years, Presby has a laundry list of future plans, you guys. That includes GPS tracking, climate control inside of those cars, cameras to record every single ride up and down the mountain.
So you went on the train yourself.
I did.
And what was that like?
It was, I was terrified ahead of time. I'm not going to lie. Maybe it's because of all the research I had done on this accident, but it was really comfortable feeling. It really, really was. Up the mountain was definitely less scary than down the mountain, but I also stood on the front of the engine with just a railing on my way down the mountain. So it was a little extra adventurous.
So
but it really was, it was fairly
Right.
smooth though. It was, I felt safe. It was good.
Did you scream, "I'm the queen of the world"?
No, but I did hold on for dear life on the front.
Same thing, same thing. All right.
Thinking about things that make us nervous, Keith's here, I think, with the forecast.
I held on and screamed when K-Rex drove Stormy one time. I remember that. I was like, K-Rex, why are you so Massachusetts? All right, here's a look at Jose. The main story over the next day or so, spinning to the south, very slow approach towards New England. And it's never really going to get here. That's why it's no more than a nuisance for most of us. A couple of rain bands are moving on shore. They are technically the outer bands of Jose. You'd be hard-pressed to tell the difference between these and just typical bands of rain that move in from the Gulf from time to time. Hour-by-hour forecast continuing with the clouds, a little bit of light fog certainly tonight, and showers. Showers again through the day tomorrow. We may see a few more gusty winds, I think, tomorrow afternoon, but I don't think it'll be anything worse than just being noticeably breezy with wind gusts getting to 30, maybe 35 miles an hour. And then the storm slowly spins away for Thursday, so we actually get some sunshine in the second half of Thursday, and I actually think it's pretty nice by Thursday afternoon and certainly into Friday. So here's your wind speeds. Again, they're in that 30-mile-per-hour range. Remember, you need about 50 to 55 miles an hour to create any kind of real damage. So we are well to the south, if you will, of that criteria. And we may actually be windiest on Thursday, even when it's starting to be sunny as the storm pulls away. You may see those wind gusts peak a little bit there Thursday midday or so. So the waves continue to be the biggest factor, and I think anybody who makes their living out over the ocean is very aware of this storm, and it's a pain in the butt for them because this winds are creating these 10, 15-foot waves offshore, and some of these are crashing onshore as well. We had Ryan down at Camp Ellis earlier. Didn't look to be a problem. I think minor splashover is about the worst you're going to get out of this. So here is your advisory for high surf that's in effect through tomorrow night. Again, tropical storm warnings off the coastline of northern Massachusetts. That's not going to happen. They're not going to get wind gusts of tropical storm strength there. I don't want to be all negative, though. Let's skip ahead. Friday is nice. Saturday and Sunday are nice. And this is what I'm thinking for high temperatures on Sunday. Of course, you will have the sea breeze along the coastline, but if you head inland, it'll be almost hot in the upper 80s, and I can't rule out a 90 in a place like Freiburg. Guys, this is a big story. We're going to see a lot about this. This is Maria. It's a Cat 5. It is the second one to approach the islands in, about a week and a half. Puerto Rico, unfortunately, going to take this from a really inopportune southeast approach angle. They are very vulnerable from that direction, so we'll see what happens. A lot of great stuff, obviously, in Puerto Rico, San Juan on an exposed area as well. So we'll see what that comes out of it there. That's a very strong storm. Again, meanwhile, we break into this pattern Friday through Monday afternoon. Even Tuesday is decent, but we're pretty warm there. Mid and even some upper 80s. So
we've done the research and kind of shown how all these hurricanes in a row, it has happened, but it's pretty rare. I mean, have you ever seen anything like this in the same area seemingly over and over again?
No, you know what's interesting is these islands are technically very exposed, but they're spatially small enough that they don't usually get directly hit like this. So that's what's been odd about these last two, is that they're getting the eye wall right over the island. And again, Puerto Rico is a spot that actually hasn't had that happen that much. So we'll see what happens.
So probably not really set to go with this.
There's no great way to be set for it. They have decent building codes. Puerto Rico, San Juan particularly is an old town, so there's going to be a lot of structures there that are older.
Right.
So we'll see how they come out of it by probably tomorrow afternoon. We'll have an idea.
All right. Yep. Thanks, Keith. All right, we know Keith's a no regrets kind of guy, but have you ever said something you instantly regretted? How about posting something on social media that you immediately regret or regret years later.
Yeah, maybe it was a few years ago and you posted something you don't even remember for various possible reasons. But it could really embarrass you if anybody actually saw that post today.
Don't worry though, there's an app for that.
It'll pull in all of your posts. So this is everything I've posted.
History can make you cringe.
So this is where you could search beer or whatever you want and it'll pull it up.
Especially perhaps some of your old statements on social media.
I kind of wear my emotions on my sleeve and just say things without thinking about the consequence.
Jose Munoz gets fired up on Facebook when it comes to sports. But he just downloaded another app called Expire to clean up things he wishes he had not said.
Instead of having to scroll through there and delete every post and search for hours and hours and hours, I could just search that keyword and pull it all up, delete.
Search a keyword like party or drunk. The app can show you all your posts with those words and delete them.
Delete the post.
23-year-old Jesse Stauffer created it.
Yes, you go in and type in any keyword you want to say beer, and it'll pull up anytime you mention beer from your old Facebook or posts or tweets, and that lets you wipe those out immediately.
Jesse Stauffer started working on this when he lived with his parents in Flower Mound. When he got to the University of North Texas, though, in Denton, he started looking for some professional advice from some experts and decided to email Mark Cuban out of the blue. He was surprised when he got a response.
Yeah, I was sitting in class when he wrote me back, and I just got up and left once the email came through. And
he later invested in your company.
Yeah, he invested in it, and I've been working with him ever since, and also been able to do some work on some other projects of his, so it's been pretty cool.
Jesse wouldn't say how much Cuban invested.
And you created this all by yourself?
But it's priceless technology for new users like Munoz.
Can I be ready?
After serving 3 years in prison on a drug charge, he's cleaning up his life, starting with social media.
Hi, Jason Whitley from our sister station in Dallas. So clean up your social media, kids.
Always good advice. Cindy Williams here with a preview of what's coming up.
Yeah, we're still talking hurricanes. These destructive storms just keep coming. Those poor people in the Virgin Islands are battening down the hatches yet again. People in there haven't recovered yet from Irma, and now they have to brace for Maria. We did speak with some Mainers who are just trying to survive these storms. We'll have their stories. And Katie Bavoso isn't exactly a ninja warrior, but we're going to meet some athletes who can tackle the warped wall. Those stories and much more all coming up in the next half hour.
She tried. She gave it her all.
Yeah, she tried. God love her.
News Center Now continues after the break.
All right, Taco Bell isn't afraid to try new things. Just look at the Doritos Taco or Cheetos-inspired quesadilla, but now they want to add booze to the new menu. Taco Bell's CEO says the fast food chain wants to open 300 cantina-style restaurants nationwide. There would be beer, wine, and twisted slushies. No drive-through, though.
There you go. All right, you have spoken. This week's hometown showdown winner is Winthrop Monmouth versus Spruce Mountain. That means the fifth quarter team will be visiting both teams for a special preview this Friday right here on Now.
And News Center at 5:30 starts right now.